roaming gangs packed with extremely aggressive males. Together, they kill any roaming male that happens to be nearby. Extremely fierce, they launch violent assaults that do not stop until hours of bloody torment have passed. Even cubs and females might fall victim to this terrifying savagery, unleashed by one of the most notorious lion coalitions in African history. It is the bloody Mapogo coalition, with its warrior who preferred to stay away from the spotlight and fame, even though he was the key to war, the destroyer of beasts, the tank lion Dreadlocks. This lion was so fearsome that the Rangers were forced to kill him to give other prides a chance to survive in an attempt to allow them their share of land and territory. Their chances against this massive lion were utterly non-existent, not only because of his gigantic body, but also because of his unprecedented courage. Nothing could stand in front of Dreadlocks without being destroyed, and he would only hunt the largest of animals. While his brothers targeted rhinos, buffaloes, and smaller prey, he alone would charge into battle with massive, enraged hippos, or climb onto the tallest giraffes to seize their necks, bringing them down bloodied, suffering a slow death in the claws of this terrifying tank beast. From the time he was a cub with his 4 brothers, born into the Sparta Pride between 2001 and 2002, they were destined to become a terrifying future for the plains and forests of the Masai Mara. These cubs were a threat to everyone, even to their own kind, for it is estimated that about 100 lions were killed by this fearsome coalition. Their power grew when they were joined by a lone older male from outside Sparta called Mapogo, who came from Kruger National Park. Like the other cubs, he had once faced death early in his roaming life and survived by a miracle. Their lives continued as they learned surprise hunting methods and survival tactics by observing other older lions, especially after the addition of their older brother Mapogo, the experienced hunter, who was 2 years their senior. Photographers and filmmakers noticed how unusually united these young lions were. Never before had anyone seen a coalition of 6 powerful lions with no disputes over leadership. The leader of the coalition was simply the eldest brother. After building his massive body, Dreadlocks was content to remain the unknown soldier, the key to war, the crushing lion that ended disputes among his brothers when conflicts began to arise as they grew stronger and more violent, each eager to prove themselves. This was especially true as they dominated different prides of females, each brother trying to demonstrate his ferocity to secure mating rights. Dreadlocks and his brothers had gruesome killing methods. They attacked without mercy, and they managed to control more than 700,000 square kilometers, over half the size of South Africa, for nearly 6 years. At the peak of his youth and strength, Dreadlocks terrified everyone. Alongside his brothers, their coalition was feared by all. No lion dared to meet them, every beast avoided them, and none dared trespass on their territory or even approach their borders. But decline was inevitable, especially as disputes over leadership and power began. Division was the breaking point that would bring an end to the golden years of this terrifying coalition. And indeed, the coalition split into 2 groups. Dreadlocks chose to stay with Mapogo, the older and wiser brother, as well as Pretty Boy and Rasta. Meanwhile, Mr. T, nicknamed the Devil for his grotesque savagery, went with his inseparable brother Kinky Tail. This split was the downfall of the Mapogo Empire, a coalition that would forever remain a bloody and terrifying chapter in the history of legendary lions. Yet no lion, despite the division, could dare invade Mapogo territories, especially those ruled by Mapogo, supported by the tank Dreadlocks, who alone could repel any intruder unlucky enough to cross into their domain. He would chase them far beyond the borders or rip them apart if they dared to stand against him. The Rangers, who had spent years gathering stories and making documentaries about these lions, especially the terrifying Dreadlocks, had no choice but to end his life, to give new lions a chance to form coalitions that might rise in power and claim some of the fame long dominated by the ferocious Mapogo brothers. The story of the Mapogo truly ended with the death of Dreadlocks. Weakness and division spread among them, and other prides began to take their chances at attacking, seeking revenge and retribution for the many lions that had fallen to the coalition over the years. The story of Dreadlocks will remain etched in the minds of all wildlife lovers for decades to come. Tales will continue to be told about this massive, ferocious lion who created a terrifying history alongside the strongest lions in Africa at that time. In the darkness of the Congo forest, where secrets reign and stories unfold that challenge everything we know about the wild, there is a primate that dominates the region with unmatched intelligence and strength. Not just an ordinary creature, but a hunter living in the shadows, its eyes glowing at night like embers of fire, and its territory forbidden even to the kings of the savannah, the lions themselves. The forest dwellers speak of this creature in hushed whispers, as if afraid it might hear them. It is a giant, smarter than any predatory cat, and stronger than any human. If a leopard or a lion dares to invade its territory in search of prey, the roles are reversed, and the big cats become dinner. Even the local tribes keep a safe distance, knowing this legend could very well be real. Yes, genetic tests and photography have proven that these legends may be more than mere myth. It is not just a crazy story. It is a terrifying reality. In the heart of the Congo forest, no predator comes out alive if it dares to cross the borders of the wild chimpanzee. What you are about to see is not fiction. These are the Bili apes, known as the giant chimpanzees. Stay with us to discover every terrifying detail about this story that will leave you in awe inside the haunted forest. The Congo savanna is a world of extremes. By day, the sun strikes the earth with suffocating heat, illuminating vast grasslands. Here, predators lurk in the shadows, lions prowl silently, leopards slink between the rocks, and hyenas roam the plains in search of weak prey. In the north, the savanna meets a frightening natural boundary, the dense, dark Congo rainforest. Here, towering trees stand like giant guardians, their intertwined branches nearly blocking out the sun. And deep within this forest, the rules change. The rulers of the savanna hold no authority here. The forest dwellers, who live on the edges of this dark world, know its secrets better than anyone. They are skilled hunters, expert trackers, and keepers of ancestral tales about the creatures inhabiting this forest. Their stories make even the bravest warriors hesitate before entering its heart. One of these tales has persisted for centuries. It is the story of a creature that should not exist, a massive primate walking among the trees like a king. It fears no lions. In fact, it waits for them to hunt them. Every predator that dared to cross its path never returned. People speak of large footprints resembling those of gorillas, but different. And there are cries in the night, not like those of ordinary chimpanzees, but deeper and far more menacing. Some tribes believe this creature is a hybrid between a chimpanzee and a gorilla, while others believe it is a new species of chimpanzee, human-sized but with abilities beyond ours. The West only heard of these creatures at the end of the 20th century, with puzzling reports about a giant ape in the Bili forest of the Congo. Many initially dismissed the idea. How could a new species of primate, so massive and aggressive, exist without being documented? But the later details were too intriguing to ignore. Local hunters never spoke of these beings as myths. To them, they were as real as any animal in the forest. In 1996, an expedition led by photographer and activist Carl Ammon ventured into the forbidden depths of the forest, determined to document evidence of this colossal primate, following the clues left by hunters. But the mission was harder than expected. The terrain was harsh, the forest thick and suffocating. Massive footprints appeared, droppings 3 times the normal size, and a strange skull resembling that of a chimpanzee, but with a sagittal crest like a gorilla. Carl collected evidence, but the creature remained elusive. Analysis of the skull suggested it belonged to a gorilla, yet gorillas were rarely seen in the lower parts of the forest. Eventually, harsh conditions ended Carl's investigation, but the story was far from over. As the saying goes, the truth cannot be buried forever. Soon after, new evidence reignited scientific curiosity, pushing researchers to continue the search for this mysterious being. Carl Ammon's expedition sparked the first wave of curiosity in the scientific community, but curiosity alone was not enough. Science needed solid proof, more than footprints and mysterious skulls. It was necessary to see the so-called lion killers with the naked eye. In the early 2000s, an international team of scientists followed in the photographer's footsteps, determined to find conclusive evidence. Soon, they realized that the local tribe's stories carried more truth than they had imagined. The first sign came as a deep, long cry, unlike any known chimpanzee call. It was like a warning from something that did not want to be disturbed. The forest fell silent, as if anticipating what would happen. Days passed without a sighting, but the team did not give up. Then, in the thick vegetation, they saw something that defied all logic. Giant ground nests made of interwoven branches and leaves, remarkably similar to those built by gorillas. The problem was that no gorillas had ever been recorded in that area. Around the site, the footprints were unmistakably chimpanzee-like, but far larger than any ever seen. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the dense foliage, a pair of eyes glowed in the darkness, watching them. They knew then they were not alone. Suddenly, the forest erupted with sounds, snapping branches, heavy footsteps, and the terrifying presence of a massive creature moving with both stealth and menace. It was no gorilla and no ordinary chimpanzee. It was something different, an oversized chimpanzee. In the following days, the team managed to capture photos from a distance. The images revealed chimpanzees noticeably larger than any other known species. With a mix of fear and awe, the researchers returned to the local tribe, who confirmed what they had long known. Lions and leopards that entered the forest never returned, devoured by these giant primates. Genetic material such as droppings and hair was collected. Tests indicated that these creatures were genetically common chimpanzees. In other words, not a new species, but chimpanzees of extraordinary size. Yet the question remained, what made them grow so large? Amid the mystery surrounding the giant Bili chimpanzees, new evidence emerged that reignited scientific debate. In 2004, two striking photos spread across the internet, sparking worldwide fascination. Everything changed in 2014 when the Lukuru Foundation, a conservation organization in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, released a video showing a group of massive chimpanzees moving among the trees. The footage showed tall, powerful individuals with features distinct from ordinary chimpanzees. Experts worldwide began analyzing the images, trying to make sense of what was happening. The scientific answer was simple. These were ordinary chimpanzees that had grown to extraordinary size. Enthusiasts defended the idea that isolation in the forest and selective pressures might explain their growth. Perhaps these chimpanzees had developed more aggressive instincts, allowing them to face lions in groups. Another hypothesis suggested a different diet, richer in meat than fruit, which could have affected their size. But until now, none of these theories have been scientifically confirmed. In the end, local hunters continued to affirm what they had always known. These chimpanzees exist, and they are unlike anything else. The legend became reality, but mystery still surrounds them. Will the coming days reveal more secrets? Or will these creatures continue to guard their mysteries in the heart of the dark Congo forest? Meet the muscular beast that emerged from the womb of cows, then challenged the African buffalo, known for its strength, bulk, and ferocity. We are not talking about a fictional creature or a product of artificial imagination, even though its perfectly sculpted muscles may suggest so. We are speaking of a real creature of flesh and blood, the Indian gaur, the carbon copy of a war tank. But for some reason only God knows, it decided to live on salad instead of diesel. Imagine an animal that can weigh up to 1,600 kilograms of pure muscle and immense power, capable of facing the fiercest creatures like the African buffalo head-on without flinching. There in India, some fear it even more than the tiger itself, not only for its size, but for its terrifying, angry temperament. This creature does not simply get angry, it explodes with violence. But before we dive into the world of this muscular giant, let us take a step back to the family it belongs to, the cattle family. Yes, cattle, that meal living in your fridge, which might one day decide to take revenge. Perhaps you have never stopped to think about the sheer strength of the animals from which you eat slices of steak at a barbecue, but the truth is that some of them may be closer to superheroes than food on a plate, and the gaur is one of this family's members. So, let us first uncover its origins. The Bovidae family includes a large group of hoofed, ruminant animals. This may seem like a trivial detail, but those split hooves are not just anatomical curiosities. They grant these creatures astonishing abilities to climb rocks and escape predators. Imagine that this family branches into 143 living species, varying in size, weight, and skin type. From the domestic cows we see every day to beasts weighing over a ton, like the star of our story, the Indian gaur, the creature that makes all other cattle look like extras on the stage of nature. But what do all Bovidae species have in common? Quite simply, it is the segmented stomach and a set of permanent horns. These horns can be small and timid or massive and majestic, sometimes serving as double helmets of war, defending with ferocity or attacking with violence. Another curious fact: Bovidae animals hold passports that allow them to exist in nearly every corner of the globe. Sadly, not all are wild anymore. Humanity domesticated most of them centuries ago, turning them from forest creatures into plowing tools and food. The most famous among these creatures for size and power are the African buffalo, the American bison, the European bison, and of course, the wild gaur, the star of this heavyweight tale. So, if you travel to Southeast Asia, ask nature to send you a creature that will reorder your hierarchy of threats. Surely, it will send you the gaur, a dangerous being stretching between 2.4 meters and 3.3 meters from nose to rump, excluding the tail. Do you have a measuring tape at home? Take it now, pull it open to just 2.40 meters, and reflect on the size. Then imagine the beasts that reach 3.30 meters. And that's not all. The gaur's shoulder height alone ranges between 1.3 meters and 2.2 meters. Yes, we are not talking about a cow, but about a creature from prehistoric times that seems to have walked out of a dinosaur film. At this point, the average gaur records a weight of 545 kilograms, about the weight of a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle. In other cases, adult males have been documented weighing up to 1,500 kilograms. All of this enormous mass rests on 4 legs that look like hydraulic pipes, legs that redefine stability and make this grazing monster a fighter not to be underestimated. Nature did not stop at giving the gaur steel-like muscles. It also placed on its head a true evolutionary helmet. The top of its skull is a thick, solid shield, capable of knocking most mammals to the ground with a single strike. For humans, just one butt from this beast is enough to send us to a tragic fate. As for its horns, they are certainly not for decoration. They are precise weapons, reaching a combined span of up to 1.14 meters. Offensive and defensive armament, as if crafted in a primitive weapons factory. Despite its dense body that looks like a solid block of raw material, the gaur can reach speeds of 48 kilometers per hour when running. It can crush you without leaving you a chance to escape, unless you are an extraordinary Olympic sprinter. Imagine this massive creature with its size, power, kinetic drive, and a spark of pent-up rage waiting to explode. And you get the perfect equation for what can only be called the grass super bull, the wild Indian gaur. And here, many curious questions arise. Can the Bengal tiger bring the gaur down? A tiger may weigh up to 260 kilograms at its peak. When it attacks, it leaps onto the gaur's back, sinks its fangs into its neck, and perhaps succeeds in killing it. The gaur's skin lies close to the muscle, giving the predator a chance to cause a quick, lethal injury. But the question remains, will it always succeed? Nature always hides mind-shocking surprises. The jaguar, for example, the most precise predator, succeeds on its first attempt 70% of the time. Lionesses succeed in 30% of first attempts. But for the Bengal tiger, the success rate is only 25%. Still, Bengal tigers include the gaur among their main prey, especially where they share the same lands, as in India's Nagarhole and Bandipur reserves. But the encounter is no simple matter. Hunting such a massive, strong, and fast animal, especially when in a rage or fierce resistance, is highly dangerous. In many cases, the tigers retreat, even flee from their prey. Real incidents were documented in those reserves where tigers suffered serious injuries after underestimating the gaur's wrath, receiving a counterblow that made them pay dearly. The arena does not end here. We will not settle for the gaur versus tiger duel. We will expand the battlefield to include other heavy grazers to see who truly deserves the crown of grass and muscle supremacy. Another challenger comes from the Great American Plains, the American bison, a formidable beast demanding respect, weighing no less than 990 kilograms and capable of short bursts of speed reaching 60 kilometers per hour. Yes, it is fast, but it does not last. It quickly tires. It lacks the aggressive gene that says, "I will chase you until you collapse, then crush your pride." The gaur, at its prime, has an extra 300 to 400 kilograms advantage. Convert this excess into impact force, and you instantly understand why the bison would beg to skip this match. Yes, the bison would surely lose. But what about the European bison? The elegant cousin from Poland and Belarus, weighing only about 650 kilograms, with a speed close to the gaur's, around 50 kilometers per hour. Yet it suffers the same problem. It quickly loses breath and could never withstand a direct hit from an angry Indian giant. Let us try another beast and move toward thicker fur with the musk ox, the Viking cousin weighing 450 kilograms. He believes his butt is as powerful as Thor's hammer, but if he meets the gaur, he will be left without a hammer. A counterblow from a 1-ton beast would be enough to turn him into a rolling ball of fur. The conclusion? The gaur wins again. Now, let's consider another challenger, the yak. This forgotten creature measures about 3.30 meters in length like the gaur, but maxes out at just 580 kilograms. True, it is an extraordinary mountain climber, able to travel 40 kilometers in low-oxygen environments, granting it high endurance. But in a flat-ground face-off, that skill is useless. No matter how much it resists, it lacks the strength to topple the gaur in one strike. The result? Another victory for the gaur. Now let's raise the level and talk about the African buffalo, the king of the plains, known as the Cape buffalo. It is massive, territorial, aggressive, and extremely dangerous. If any creature could truly match the gaur, it would be this savanna beast. But let's return to the numbers. Maximum weight, 900 kilograms. Length, 2.50 meters. Speed, 40 kilometers per hour. So the buffalo is smaller, lighter, and slower than the gaur. But can it win? Perhaps the answer is yes. The possibility exists, especially since it lives in an environment where only the brave survive. Confrontation is part of its daily life, and it might succeed with a surprise attack or desperate defense. But does it win every time? We don't think so. Reality indicates that the gaur will win most encounters due to its advantage in mass, momentum, and shock muscle structure. Being a giant is only part of the equation. The gaur has something deeper, something hidden under its thick skin, a power it uses only when it decides that the time of grass is over and the time of war has begun. The gaur is not just a collision machine on 4 legs. It is a silent chess player. Picture this scene. A group of females with their calves gathers in a defensive formation resembling a security compound, a living wall made of up to 20 bodies, each weighing hundreds of kilograms, aligned to shield the young from fast cheetahs and prowling tigers. Then, in an instant, a single female lets out a deep bellow, like an alarm siren blasting through a silent forest. This bellow does not merely declare danger, but reorganizes the formation. Within seconds, the plains turn into a circle of energy-charged horns, mothers on the outside, calves in the middle. Meanwhile, the adult males roam alone, independent systems walking heavily between the trees. But when mating season comes, silence turns into a majestic call, with a bellow echoing through the forest for 3 kilometers. A sound that shakes your chest and terrifies you. But the problem is that every loud call brings with it the curse of rivals. When two meet, the battle starts instantly. Whoever wins earns the right to love. But there is an undefeatable enemy. An enemy that makes no bellow but a muffled sound from a gun's muzzle. An enemy that does not declare war, but picks its angle and pulls the trigger. Yes, man is the gaur's deadliest enemy. The fight between weapon and gaur is never fair. It usually ends before it begins. Since 1972, the wild gaur in India has been under strict monitoring as its spread became a concern. The gaur, in truth, is an enormously fertile and prolific creature. Its natural predators are not enough to limit its population. Without humans, the gaur turns into a massive ecological invasion, threatening the balance of the ecosystem. But the tragedy is that some so-called legal hunters do not hunt the gaur but the tigers, the only natural predator able to restrain its expansion. Thus, in a cycle of absurdity, humans fire their bullets, killing the predator, the herd grows, and the balance collapses. So the gaur, considered the mightiest of its kin, unmatched in mass, aggression, and speed with its devastating pushing and butting power, remains in a bitter paradox, a vegetarian beast. A bulldozer-like monster that feeds only on grass, yet is stronger than all. So if you ever come across a tourist ad promising you a gaur photo safari, reconsider your choices and acknowledge the danger of what you're about to do. Make sure your vehicle is ready for escape at the right moment. The gaur may look tolerant, but it does not sign peace treaties with strangers. It might suddenly decide that the raised hand holding a phone to snap a picture is a suspicious, dangerous hand that must be attacked instantly. In that moment, all one can do is pray for survival from the wrath of the approaching beast. In the depths of wild Africa, where the law of the strongest rules the land, sharp teeth and bloody claws are the only language spoken. Here, a silent war erupts every day, a war with no place for the weak. But do you know who are the boldest thieves of the savannah? You might say it's the spotted hyenas, with their chilling laughter that freezes blood, fearlessly chasing the kings of the jungle, surrounding them with ruthless packs and stealing prey right from under their noses. Or perhaps the ghostly leopards that strike like lightning, silent, invisible, and leaving nothing but a vanished prey. Maybe you'd say it's the wild dogs, feral armies of death that attack as one body and one mind, challenging lions with collective ferocity that stuns all who witness it. In any case, stealing from a lion may well be your last act. In this land, blood is the only currency. So what if I told you there are humans who challenge lions and steal their prey with mind-blowing skill? Those known as the Masai warriors, the brave tribesmen who walk the edge of death with hearts that know no fear. A people who are closer to nomads, living in dangerous harmony with the beasts of the savannah. They read the land like an open book. They hide in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment for a single, unforgettable strike. The African savannah isn't just land, it's a golden, deadly ocean. Every step could be your last. Every breath is a challenge to fate. The sun burns, the ground trembles beneath elephants' feet, and resources are paid for in blood. It is here that the Masai built their empire in the midst of this hell. Their homes are clay fortresses that confuse predators. Their cattle are sacred treasures, and their youth are trained from childhood to face the deadliest animals without weapons. They carry nothing but their courage. Imagine standing in their place, on the edge of a cliff, your eyes scanning for the slightest movement. A cloud of dust, a strange sound. Your fate may lie in its hands. Here, the weak are buried, and only the strong earn a place in tribal legend. When night falls, the savannah becomes a kingdom of hyena ghosts calling to each other with terrifying laughter. Meanwhile, Lions roar in hunger, and the Masai stand like mountains behind spiked walls that form their final defense. They defy the darkness with fire and sleepless eyes. But how do humans coexist with these terrifying creatures? How do they steal food from beneath their jaws? What ancient secrets make the Masai masters of a merciless land? Prepare for a journey into a world with no mercy, where wisdom is a weapon, blood nourishes the earth, and one tribe dares to confront the kings of the jungle in their own lair. In the heart of the African savanna, where the land sings with life and death, a new day is born. But today is no ordinary day. It is the day of Kimani, the warrior forged in the fire of the African continent. With eyes like hawks that pierce the dark, and movements like leopards carving history, this warrior must lead his tribe today on a life-or-death mission to find food in a land that knows no pity. Each dawn here brings a new challenge. Every weapon is an extension of your will, and Kimani knows that the smallest details can mean the difference between life and death. His spears are sharp. His heart is strong. He is always ready to face the kings of the jungle. The hierarchy in the Masai tribe is sacred. Elders guide their sons and warriors. But in battle, the most skilled and powerful warrior leads. And so Kimani, the proven hero of countless battles, was chosen to lead today's hunting expedition. A mission full of danger where every member has a role and discipline is the law of survival. The Masai are masters of nature. They know where the lions hide and where the prey moves. Today, the great game is about to begin. Watch as the kings of the jungle display their strength and dominance. In a single moment, the lions pounce like lightning and bring down their prey without mercy, like a deadly dance amid wildlife. Kimani knows the time has come. With a subtle gesture, he signals his warriors to prepare. Their hearts beat like war drums. They check their weapons, align their formation, and take their positions. They are about to steal a kill from the jaws of lions. After 5, 4, 3, a secret signal, just a finger movement, Kimani declares, the game has begun. With unbelievable courage, the Masai move forward with full determination. They are a shadow army, holding their breath, stepping lighter than a fox's whisper. Every detail has been planned. Their spears are as sharp as a mythical beast's claws. Their bodies are tense like bowstrings. Their nerves are ice cold. The lions, stunned by such boldness, hesitate and pull back. The precious moments begin. Kimani leads the charge with speed and precision. The warriors use their swift hands to strip as much meat as possible. Adrenaline boils in their veins, yet they remain calm. Every second may decide life or death. One hand holds the knife, another pulls the hide. Blood sprays like mist. The tribe has only 90 seconds to grab the meat or go home hungry. The clock ticks between life and death, and the big cats are still in shock. The Maasai's success rate in stealing kills from lions is astonishing, reaching up to 90%. They outperform other savanna predators like hyenas and wild dogs. This high success rate is due to their skill and deep understanding of lion behavior. Within minutes, the meat is stripped from the carcass. The leader calls the mission complete. Everyone carries food in their arms. The lions watch as they retreat. It was a victory laced with danger, but necessary for the tribe's survival. Today, they were victorious. Tonight, they will celebrate, as they always do when food is brought home. But what about tomorrow? The savanna knows no mercy. Each sunrise is a new gamble with death. Each success is merely a temporary truce in a never-ending war. Do you have what it takes to face the kings of the jungle? Simba Jr. From a weak cub to the king of the savanna, an epic struggle. When we speak of wild animals that strike fear into human hearts, the lion immediately comes to mind, the king of the jungle, the most feared creature of all. But did you know that the life of this powerful animal, a symbol of strength and majesty, is in fact filled with hardship before he claws his way to his fearsome reputation? His life is truly an endless series of challenges and battles, a daily test of survival. From the very moment of birth, his journey begins in a merciless world, where each day is a new fight. For lions, childhood is far from innocent. It's a stage filled with danger. A young cub could be killed by cunning hyenas, trampled by herbivore herds without even realizing it, or perish from the unforgiving hunger. But the greatest threat might come from within his own family. If the mother sees him as weak, she may abandon or even kill him. And if a new dominant male invades his father's pride, that new leader won't hesitate to kill all the cubs that carry his predecessor's genes. Even if he survives this stage, adolescence is no less brutal. As a teenage cub, he will find himself without a pride, without territory, and without respect. He'll be chased away by older lions who see him as a potential threat, expelling him as if he were nothing more than an annoying intruder. But the trials don't end there. Lionesses, who might seem like allies, can be even more ruthless than the males. If he fails to prove that he's strong enough, they will ignore or even attack him as a group, as if to say, "Learn quickly how to be a real lion." And after years of running and endless suffering, the moment of truth arrives. A confrontation with the dominant lion he once fled from in a moment of weakness. This fight is everything. It will be fierce and brutal, and the young lion will put everything he has on the line. He might lose the first battle, and maybe the second too, but these defeats will teach him the harsh lessons he needs to one day become king. Finally, after years of struggle, the moment of glory comes. The decisive battle ends in a glorious victory, and he becomes the new king of the savannah. But things aren't always so simple. The lionesses have their own rules, and as a new king, he's not exactly on their VIP list. His mission now is to dominate them and prove he deserves to be their leader. If he's strong and majestic, with a roar that shakes the ground, the lionesses might accept him as their new king. But if he fails to show his strength, he may be chased off once more, and this time, it could be fatal. At times, the pressure may drive him to commit terrible acts, such as cannibalism or even attacking the lionesses. But as a true king, he must show everyone that he can rule with an iron paw. If he fails, he'll find himself hunted by the lionesses, forced to flee with his tail between his legs, trying to save his life. And this is where our little lion story begins. Simba Jr. Not the famous Disney Simba, but a real lion raised in the Botswana savannah. From a young age, Simba Jr. knew that a lion's life was nothing but a series of harsh trials. He grew up in a world like a savage reality show, where his strength and willpower were tested every single day. His story is one of survival and of earning his rightful place as king. A story that takes us deep into the heart of the lion's world, where only the strong survive and glory belongs to those who dare to challenge fate. In 2018, Simba Jr. was born into a pride deep in the heart of the savannah, where life was a battle for survival from day one. Of all the male cubs born alongside him, only 2 survived, Simba Jr. and his brother. But luck wasn't on his brother's side. He lost his life early on after leaving the pride in search of his own territory and getting into a bloody fight with other lions. Simba Jr., however, chose a different path, one filled with challenges, but he was determined to succeed. From his earliest days, Simba Jr. was closely watched. He spent his cubhood hiding from hungry hyenas, enduring hunger, and running from older lions who saw him as a threat. But Simba never gave up. He chose to fight and show his strength rather than be labeled the weak one. In the lion world, weakness means death. A pride of lions is a complex system where every member has a role. At the top stands the dominant male, the king, who protects the territory and ensures his genes are passed on. Next are the lionesses, who do the hunting and care for the cubs. The cubs themselves must simply survive in a world full of internal and external threats. But for a male lion to become dominant, he must challenge and kill the current leader in a fierce, often bloody battle. These fights reveal the true power of these magnificent creatures. When a new lion takes over, everything changes drastically. The first thing the new male does is kill the cubs of the previous leader, ensuring his own genes dominate instead. It's a cruel law, but the law of the unforgiving savanna. And here is where Simba Jr. made his first big mistake. In trying to assert his dominance, he began eliminating the previous leader's cubs. But he didn't anticipate the reaction of the lionesses, who turned out to be far more aggressive than expected. Usually, this behavior leads to the lionesses submitting out of fear to the new male. But in Simba Jr.'s pride, things were different. These lionesses were some of the fiercest hunters in the region, and they had no intention of giving in easily. Instead, the angry lionesses united against Simba Jr. in a swift and brutal rebellion. They attacked him with force and coordination he hadn't expected, especially since he was still recovering from his battle with the previous alpha. Simba Jr. ended up being expelled from the pride before he could even claim his place or mate with any of the lionesses. But Simba Jr. wasn't the type to give up easily. Despite being cast out, he was determined to reclaim the pride. He realized that to survive and thrive in the savannah, he would need to show not only strength, but intelligence and patience as well. He retreated far enough to recover from his wounds, but stayed close enough to keep a watchful eye on the pride. He began planning his return, knowing this time his tactics had to be different. He needed to show the lionesses that he was not only strong, but wise enough to lead. And so, Simba Jr. began a new journey, determined to earn his rightful place in the pride. Simba Jr.'s story wasn't over. He was determined to be accepted and was willing to do anything to prove he deserved to be king. That is the power of determination, and perhaps a bit of stubbornness. So, after his exile, the pride remained without a dominant male, but the savannah has its own way of restoring order. By 2024, with no male leader, the lionesses became the true rulers of the pride, taking charge of hunting and protecting the cubs. In this matriarchal system, the wisdom and strength of the females ensured the group's survival. But Simba Jr., still unwilling to give up on his dream of leadership, kept watching closely, waiting for the perfect moment to return. Simba Jr. tried approaching the pride several times, but the lionesses were always on high alert. During one attempt, the females met him with ferocity, resulting in an uneven clash. Things didn't go as Simba had hoped. He walked away with a few new scars, yet his determination never wavered. In the midst of this, a new threat emerged. Two young nomadic lions, strong and experienced in the savannah's brutal politics, arrived searching for a pride to conquer. Seeing the pride without a dominant male, they saw a golden opportunity. They advanced with confidence, knowing this might be their chance to assert dominance. But Simba Jr., always vigilant, spotted the intruders and immediately realized his dream was in danger. If the lionesses accepted the newcomers, he'd lose any chance of leading the pride. Determined to protect his future, Simba Jr. devised a clever plan. He waited for the right moment, and when one of the nomads was isolated, he launched a precise ambush using the cunning he had developed over the years. With a mix of brute strength and intelligence, Simba Jr. took down the lone nomad, using surprise to neutralize the threat. But the danger wasn't over. The second nomadic lion, realizing his companion's absence, moved in to claim dominance. When the lionesses tried to fight him off, he unleashed deadly force in a vicious battle, killing one lioness and spreading fear among the others. With the lionesses too weak to resist, he began eliminating the cubs and young lions to ensure only his bloodline would continue. Simba Jr. couldn't stand by and watch his chance at leadership be destroyed. With a roar that echoed through the savannah, he stepped forward to confront the nomad. This was his last chance. He knew he had to win, not only to secure his role as leader, but to protect the pride he had sworn to lead. The clash between Simba Jr. and the invading lion began. It was a savage battle that would decide the pride's fate. The lionesses, once afraid of Simba, now watched carefully, knowing the outcome would affect them all. Simba Jr., aware this was his final shot, summoned every ounce of strength and cunning he had. With a decisive strike, Simba Jr. brought the nomad down, seizing his rival's neck with agility and power. Then he stood exhausted over the fallen lion, roaring as his victory echoed through the savannah. He had finally earned his place, but at a steep cost. Bloodied and battered, the lionesses who once attacked him now looked on with respect. They had witnessed his courage and determination to protect the pride from a true threat. In the days following the epic battle, Simba Jr. remained injured, weak but determined to recover. And then something surprising happened. The lionesses, once hostile, began hunting and bringing food to him, as if thanking him for his bravery and sacrifice. It was a rare moment in the lion world, a gesture of gratitude from females to a male who had fought for them. Over time, Simba Jr. regained his strength. The same lionesses who once rejected him now accepted him as their new king. In an extraordinary decision, they chose not to kill the few remaining cubs of the former leader. Instead, they waited until the cubs grew and the lionesses were ready to mate again. Usually, when lionesses are cubless, they enter estrus quickly, but since some cubs had survived, it took a few more weeks before Simba Jr. was officially accepted as the dominant male. Finally, after all the trials and suffering, Simba Jr. was crowned king of the pride. He had earned his rightful place, becoming a respected leader the lionesses trusted. Under his rule, the pride flourished and reached a rare harmony where each member had a role and purpose. Simba Jr., once a weak cub fleeing from hyenas and older lions, had become a fair and powerful ruler. His journey was filled with hardships that forged him into the leader he became. He proved that life in the savannah, though brutal, can be full of surprises and moments of glory. Simba Jr. shows us that no matter how great the challenges, perseverance and resilience can lead to greatness. But as we said in the beginning, becoming king is never easy. The challenges never end. And so Simba Jr. continues to protect his territory and pride from other lions in a daily battle for survival. Now 6 years old and enjoying a period of relative peace, the question remains, how long will this peace last? Because in the savannah, nothing is guaranteed. Every day is a new battle.